for Justice, your host for today's live stream. And I apologize. I had my live stream open and I didn't realize that. And so then it starts to play. And then I'm like, what's that sound? Where is it? Where is it? And if any of you have ever seen my my situation here, I've got, 8 monitors. Sometimes have 50 tabs open. So, things get lost. I apologize. It's all my fault. There's nothing nefarious, just operator error. And today, though, I really wanted to bring you some really cool information and updates from around the world, because let me tell you again, it's not just our battle. Everybody on the planet is battling this totalitarian regime that's coming down the pike. They're ruining everybody's water and everybody's air and taking everybody's homes and cars, and they're securitizing everything on the planet. And lawsuits are starting to make hold, starting to get a grip. We're starting to get some good judgments, just like we shared yesterday. There are some judges, not everything is totally corrupt, so let's find those places where we can make a difference. And when we find someone making a difference, let's jump on board with that and try to bring that into our circle of influence. We're going to talk about household wealth real quickly, and then we're going to talk about things that we are doing, can do, and could do to continue to fight back. So I really wanted to start today with this, it's expose on the banks and their piracy. It's a fabulous video. I believe this link will help it clarifies it hits every major point, and I think it will bring family, friends, neighbors, those that aren't aware of what's going on. It'll get them up to speed really fast, and we need that right now. Let's pay attention to how this looks.
The Wall Street Big Five, Goldman, Citi, Chase, Bank of America and Morgan Stanley have, quote, pervasively defrauded town halls, stolen from virtually every pension transaction, unlawfully foreclosed citizens out of their homes, deliberately sold bad products, then bet against them, committed insider trading, manipulated asset prices, financed Ponzi's, tried to destroy evidence, and bribed ratings agencies and politicians. Not a single executive at these banks is being charged. The Justice Department said no one at HSBC is getting indicted for systematic criminal activity. Senior HSBC officials backed terrorism financing, broke the Bank Secrecy Act, broke the Trading with the Enemy Act, ignored $60 trillion in suspicious transactions, and gave favoured client status to known narco barons. Former Wall Street executive Richard Esco, give us a flavour of these favoured clients.
We're talking about the Mexican cartels that have killed more than 60,000 people, whose preferred modus operandi is to come into a town, cut off the heads of 60 prominent citizens, and then leave them in the town square, or as they did at one point, roll them out onto a discotheque floor on Saturday night. So these are the most horrific killers on the planet, being protected, aided, and abetted, and enriched by the largest banks in the United States.
All right, let's take JP Morgan, since Obama calls it well-managed. For a Wall Street bank, how many crimes makes well-managed?
It's really, really big. They had entire teams of untrained college students who were known within JP Morgan Chase as the Burger King kids, because they'd get takeout hamburgers and sit down and generate these false statements in order to facilitate foreclosures. That was done thousands upon thousands of times.
Yeah, you worked on Wall Street. Give us an insight.
They'd sell them some trashy investment, and then they'd hang up, and the expression was, "I ripped his face off." This is their own customers. When the Oliver Stone movie Wall Street was made, and the main hero, who you may remember, Gordon Gekko, played by Michael Douglas, Oliver Stone wrote him up as a villain, but he was a very popular figure on Wall Street. To the guys there, he was a hero.
And what I do, stock and real estate speculation, it's bullshit. You got 90% of the American public out there with little or no net worth. I create nothing. I own.
Bill Black jailed over 1,000 top bankers in the 90s during the last bank crisis. Bill, great to have you on the show. How many bankers should be in jail this time round?
The current crisis is at least 80 times larger than the savings and loan debacle. There are 0 elite Wall Street fraudsters who caused this crisis in prison. There were over 2 million fraudulent loans made. They haven't simply said that the bank is too big to prosecute. They've said the senior bank officers are too big to prosecute. They have immunity as well. And they've even said that former bank officers who aren't even working there anymore can't be prosecuted. Now, of course, that's insane.
What threats did the crooks make to try and stop you?
Sure. I was sued for $400 million in my personal capacity by the most notorious fraud, Charles Keating's Lincoln Savings. They hired private detectives to investigate me twice. They tried very hard to get me fired, including by the Speaker of the House. And Keating put in writing, highest priority, get Black, kill him dead. They come running after the first 500, 600 convictions to do a plea deal because they have no real bravery. They have only the faux bravery of the bully picking on the smallest homeowner.
Here's Goldman boss Blankfein taking a break from doing God's work to cut the safety net.
You're going to have to undoubtedly do something to lower people's expectations, the entitlements, and what people think that they're going to get, because they're not going to get it.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Some things, and you could go back and you can look at the history of these things, and Social Security wasn't devised to be a system that supported you. The retirement age has to be changed, maybe some of the benefits have to be affected, entitlements have to be slowed down and contained.
Leading economist Dean Baker, did the old and sick cause the world economic crisis?
There's this incredible little bit of judo where we have the elites trying to tell us we should be upset about Social Security and Medicare and, high living seniors, when the reality is all the money's going to the top 1%.
Cyprus banks tried to rob regular savers, but US banks already have those plans in place. This document shows they're preparing an even bigger crisis in which taxpayer bailouts aren't enough. It's by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, supposed to guarantee US bank deposits. Returning the sound operations of globally active, systemically important financial institutions, that's the Wall Street Five, would be provided by converting unsecured debt from original creditors of the failed company. Unsecured debt from creditors is finance speak for regular savers. It means your money is no longer safe. Former Wall Street banker Eve Smith, thanks for joining us. You write US savers are now worse off even than Cyprus.
The reason that US depositors could be at more risk, even without any rule changes, is the fact that we have, in the 2005 bankruptcy law, there are actually creditors that are senior to depositors.
Yeah, US media talk about Russian oligarchs keeping money in Cyprus, yet you write Wall Street oligarchs are hiding much scarier sums.
That's correct. Basically it's someone else's tax haven is a problem. Our tax havens aren't.
People have traditionally seen tax havens as used by drug smugglers and mafiosi, but the big users of the secrecy jurisdictions are the banks.
Wall Street is earning record profits through this crisis. James Dimon even boasts they benefit from downturns. Those profits are being stashed offshore. The US economy just fell again, but $32 trillion is now in havens. That's double America's gross domestic product. Here's Wall Street's favourite places to hide their cash from the IRS, in offshores known as pirate banks. US Virgin Islands choice for Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Tax havens should really be called crime havens. They skip not just tax, but criminal, safety and environment laws. The Marshall Islands provided, quote, the anything goes unregulated flag for Deepwater Horizon. But far and away, Wall Street's favourite tax dodge is this mosquito-ridden isle off Florida, the Cayman Islands. Bank of America, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are all based in this building. And the world leader in tax evasion is Citigroup, which has hundreds of offshores around the world, 121 in the Caymans alone. New Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, as a Citi exec, stashed there at least $56,000. Citi tried to suppress this chilling internal report that calls income inequality, quote, perfectly natural, but worries Americans still have a vote.
The US is a plutonomy. At its heart is income inequality. The exceptionally rich drive the appallingly low savings rates, overextended consumer and unsustainable current accounts. All our friends in academia, politicians, consider imbalances perfectly natural. We want to examine how to make money from this. This is not without its risks. Political enfranchisement remains as was. One person, one vote.
And NGOs compiled all the world's official investigations into offshores, far and away the biggest illegal scam in history. But every page is blank because there hasn't been a single official investigation. The US justice system has a conviction rate of 99%. That includes an estimated 10,000 wrongful convictions a year. But when it comes to catching criminal money, that falls to 0.1%. No one dares touch offshores, and here's the reason why.
If you speak up in offshore centres, it's suicide. There's no way you would find protection. He chopped the palm of one hand with the other for emphasis. Have you seen the John Grisham film, The Firm? It's worse.
Okay. Just let me think. His name was Julio Iglesias.
Ex-chief economist at consultants McKinsey, James Henry, thanks for coming on. So digging the dirt in offshores is highly dangerous, right? But it can be done.
Well, I've had my run-ins with people I've investigated. Some of them are went to jail, and a good example was General Noriega. And I was back in the 1980s. I was an investigative journalist, went to Panama, came up with 3 years of the general's international phone calls. If you don't have an aggressive press that's going after, and investigating people in power and people who have extraordinary wealth, then, you have a system that's just not functioning democracy.
Having stripped US homes, jobs, social spending, and shipped the profits offshore, Wall Street now targets America's last thing nailed down. Offshore sidestep US tax, leaving investment in infrastructure, trash removal, power plants, roads in a sorry state. Now over 100 hedge funds led by Wall Street banks are telling town halls to sell their last assets, with a big cut for Wall Street. Professor Stephanie Kelton, thanks for joining us. So cash-strapped cities get a one-off sum, but is selling out in the public interest?
When you sell them, they're gone for good. It is the long-term decision for the short-term fiscal, in response to a short-term fiscal crisis that they themselves create.
Wall Street has left the states described in unheard-of terms: banana republic, two-tier justice, third world state. Worst of all, people now accept in the USSA banks rob you. Seek truth from facts. This is The Truth Seeker.
Yeah. Did you get that? That was really powerful, and it's right on. And they are stripping us, they are profiting from their illegal actions. And that is criminal. We need to do something. We need to keep doing things, and we need to criminally prosecute them for this. We need to go after them personally. And just like William Black said, when after the first 600 or so, they get the drift that they're next, and then they come in and want to make a deal. I swear we wouldn't take that many to start bringing them to justice. So here's some quick articles and quick update about the U.S. average household wealth is far from regaining. This is a new study, and now they're, instead of just taking, oh, look how much Wall Street has gone up, and then dividing by the number of households, they say, well, wait a minute. That's just the wealthy. So if we subtract that, now what do the households look like? And then what they don't point out in this article is when you actually recognize what we've shown and talked about. Quantitative easing has been funneled into Wall Street, so the stock market has boomed and the banks have boomed, but it's been kept out of Main Street. Then basically the people haven't recovered. And that's the answer. Very little actual recovery on the Main Street level. They never talk about the millions of small businesses that they've ruined. All the contractors, all the developers, there's no developer here now in our county that used to be big. The big ones are gone. Someone else has stepped in from someplace else. So this is the point. They destroy small business all across this country. They don't even talk about that. They just talk, they seem to think that everybody has a wage. And yet, on the other hand, they'll talk about how small business is the backbone of our economy. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. And that's really, really dangerous. And then, of course, right in the middle, you've got Lloyd's Banking Group that's announcing a sale of mortgage-backed securities from the U.S., and they're making 540 million pounds profit on that. That's about 700 million, just like that. And the person that sent this to me said, "How can they do that? Those securities are illegal." They're doing it. What is illegality? You just saw the litany of law breaking and lawlessness that they have gotten away with. And that is the problem. Fraud and lawlessness is the business model. They pay a fraud tax. They own the governments. It's now the people against the banks. And it's you and me against them directly. I just wanted to point out, this is a quickie update, that Goldman Sachs says that U.S. Treasury sell-off is for real. Goldman Sachs ought to know. They're doing a lot of this stuff behind the scenes. And remember, this is the bond sell-off we're talking about. And they're pushing the money into equities. And then, of course, that equity market's going to crash. This is going to be how they build a currency crisis. So just pay attention to these kinds of things. Start remembering what we've talked about so that you can read these with understanding. Now, what is happening right now to stop this? So this week, today and tomorrow, is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officer Association Convention. And I know that Tom is going there with his common law grand jury presentation. We really look forward to hearing from him next week how that turns out, because we need, you and I, we need grand juries that you and I can control and actually be effective in indicting and charging and removing these criminals from their offices. And it's pretty obvious that we're not going to be getting that necessarily anytime soon, it looks like, from a grand jury run by the powers that be, like our attorney generals or even our counties. And like Tom points out all the time, when you have a grand jury, you have to have a court process. I mean, a grand jury can indict. So then you have to have somebody step up and prosecute. That's one of the drawbacks of a grand jury without court action. You can get publicity, but can you force somebody? Only if you force them in a court of law. And of course, the Public Banking Institute, they're having their convention this weekend. It's going to start on Sunday. So you got Sheriff today and tomorrow, Saturday, and then you've got the public banking on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Don't forget, if you can make it at all, please try. I'm going to be there. That's why I've said in my live stream, I'm not going to be live streaming at least Monday, Tuesday next week, because I'm going to be at the public banking conference, and I'll be doing some interviewing of the workshop presenters and doing some presentations between the workshops and discussion, holding questions and answers, and streaming out for the people. They'll be webcasting. So I'm really looking forward first to meeting everybody and to being an active part about it and seeing how we can expand our network into others all over the world that would actually help push back against the foreclosures and against all of these other tyrannies that we talk about. So that's coming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then, here's their convention, so you'll have that link too. And then there are some really excellent lawsuits, some judgments, some opinions that are coming down, just like yesterday. You know, the banks aren't getting away with it everywhere. And the citing or the judgments, the decisions for the people's side are relatively few and far between, but some of them are going to make history. So here we are in South Africa and in Johannesburg, and South Africa has really been fabulous in their fight back against foreclosures, in their explanations of securitization, what is going on, how that works, why it's bad. And they've gotten a high court judge there to hand down written reasons for a verdict that could shatter confidence in the South African banking system and opens the way for criminal charges being laid against the banks and their senior office bearers. So what did they do? It's about the vehicle of securitization. And what the judge said was, well, yeah, the bank's securitization vehicles, these are the mortgage-backed security trusts, are subsidiaries of the banks, but it doesn't sound like much, but it confirms their central argument, and that is because they're subsidiaries of the banks, they're subject to the same laws that the banks are. So that's a clever turn. And so I just wanted to read here this piece that I've highlighted. Securitization is the process whereby the bank loans, such as mortgages, credit cards, vehicle loans, and oh, by the way, your utility bill, the prisoners, your bond, whenever you go to court, any kind of, everything is being securitized. They're probably securitizing our names. What can I say? And I'm sort of joking on that, but it's probably true. Anyway, they're all bundled together into what is known as special purpose vehicles, and then they're sold to other investors. And so these securitized loans are then traded on the bond and capital markets for profit. And so this nonprofit, this lawsuit has been arguing, pleading that once a loan is securitized, it has a new owner, a fact that is not disclosed to the borrower. You and I don't even know. I mean, we keep sending the qualified written request saying, who's the owner of my note? Tell me who the owner is. Who's the investor? And of course, most of the time we just either get no answer or garbage, or a lie. And so their argument goes, the bank loses the right to bring legal action against the borrower. The banks have no standing. That's the summary. And so, and of course, in the article, you'll see that there's a couple of highlighted links there. They said, we've previously covered the case here and here, and you can go to those links. And so, criminal charges. Doesn't that give your heart a little nice bump there? Criminal charges. This is what we want. And they are extremely heartened because they believe that this is a deadly blow to the banks, at least in South Africa. So let's see how we can capitalize on that here. If that judge is saying that there, how can we get that judgment here in this country for us? By admitting that these shadow entities are subsidiaries of the bank, they've effectively proven their case for them. And so this is truly a fabulous judgment and a legal precedent that we hopefully could be using somehow, some way, in courts of law in this country. And it's not just South Africa, it's Ireland. And so the mortgage securitization, sound familiar, is finally sent for full trial. So here, posted today, this morning in the High Court in Dublin, 2 of the founder members of DDI, Ben Gilroy and John Squires, along with others helping the Freeman family, defeated all motions of Bank of Scotland in the long-running case of P. Freeman and NRV Bank of Scotland, Ireland Limited and ORS. Ben and John have been fighting this case in their role with People for Economic Justice, and in court this morning, the judge dismissed the motions put by Bank of Scotland and finally sent the case forward for full trial on the issue of securitization. The team has been seeking a full trial without success for some time, gee, no kidding, and have been stymied by counter motions by Bank of Scotland. Of course, they're going to demur, cancel, summary judgment, get it out of here, don't force us to prove anything, say the banksters, pirates. We ought to just call them pirates, because that's what they are. They have pirated the money and every one of our assets without our knowledge or consent. How can that be legal? And they're gaming the system. This is what I've been saying. Now, here's something that we could potentially do. Conservative activist citizen grand jury indicts Obama. So now a former prosecutor who has gained national attention for his legal pursuits of some of the nation's most powerful political figures has brought his fight to Ocala. He is a founder of a political watchdog groups, and he called a citizens grand jury for the third time this week seeking indictments against Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Eric Holder, Eric Holder. So here's a concept, and if you read the article, it's about other issues. Why can't we get a prosecutor and have a citizens grand jury? Why can't we do that? At least maybe we would get some notice. So you guys out there, help me with this. We're in territory I'm not terribly familiar with, but let's keep this in our heads. Let's figure out how we could put together a citizens grand jury and indict these people for not prosecuting the banks, for supporting them and not prosecuting. We ought to go straight after the Department of Justice. So that was my thought for today. That's something that we could do. And I think it's really powerful because, of course, the whole thing is continuing, just like the first video I played. Everything is continuing. Here is an activist, so this is something else we could do, and that is we can jump on the bandwagon as, remember, two things we have to do. We have to be activists on the keyboard. We have to get in the street and march. And I'm trying to do that myself. I went to Monsanto March. I'm trying to send things out by email because that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. We just keep the pressure, get it growing, get more and more of us typing and emailing and setting up activism things, and others marching in the street. Now I think Renee's calling us. Renee, call me again. I'm sorry I missed you. And she wanted to share some update here. And of course I shut down the conference because I was trying to figure out what was wrong with the sound. Sorry about that. So here you go. Here's a service member. He's out in the military, and this bank is completely violating the foreclosure. They're taking his house, and we're trying to fight back and get them to stop. This is just so incredibly painful and outrageous that one by one they just keep stealing the houses and chopping us off. There she is. Hey Renee, thanks for calling.
Hey Jay, no problem. How you doing this morning? Your show's going great.
I obviously have some operator problems. I can't keep track of all the links.
She's blocking me. I'm like, are you kidding? She can't even get the dang thing to quit spinning. You think she's going to figure out how to block people?
That's right. Well, actually, and just because of that, because yesterday, evidently, a lot of people said they couldn't comment, so clean your browsers. And I want to assure you that I have now changed my password. That way, in fact, I couldn't even log in. I couldn't live stream because I forgot that to do that. You had to change the passwords. I'm going, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? So I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just my fault. I'm just not perfect. And today
don't worry. And, it's all growing pains. We're all out here. It's not like this is just something that you're giving right now. This is you giving. This isn't. This is huge. This is a huge learning curve. We all understand that, you don't have a ton of money to put into this, and you're doing the best you can just to hang on. So, and with that said, the reason I wanted to come on this morning is there's been people who've lost their home.
Yeah.
Just recently, we had Mrs. Rue yesterday.
Oh
and did you see that article, CJ?
Probably. I'm not sure which one. I see so many. Which one are you talking about?
She had a stay of eviction.
Oh, geez.
And the sheriff showed up at 6 o'clock yesterday morning, and literally, she's a disabled elderly woman.
I can't believe they're doing this to us.
Megan and George flew up there. We were supposed to have a meetup yesterday. A group of us, Megan and George, flew up there to Altadena, and she was sitting in a chair. They took her out of her house at 6 o'clock in the morning. Wouldn't let her get food out of the fridge. Wouldn't let her do anything.
My
they
God.
just said, "You need to go." They sat her in a chair at the curb. And Megan, I posted the video last night. George took live feed while they were there. And the fact is, she had a stay of eviction that wasn't recognized. The sheriffs were wrong. And the the sheriffs have the ability not to do that. They don't have to evict people. They have more authority within their jurisdiction than the darn president. So for them to do something so horrific is just inexcusable.
And it's just so incredible. They're always picking on the disabled and the elderly.
Because the disabled and the elderly, they think, aren't going to be able to fight back. But the problem is we are fighting for them.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
with that said, Matt Murray in Kalamazoo, Michigan, he was evicted on May 14th. And Matt has a B of A complete fraud debacle.
Right.
Had a wonderful lady who, I believe it was a woman attorney, who tried to help him, but in no fault of her own, she didn't succeed. But in fault of her, he didn't succeed.
Yeah.
We need these attorneys who don't really get it
Yeah.
to quit taking money. Matt
Exactly.
Murray has been on YouTube. He had been blasted all over the place. A lot of blog talks had him. But guess what? Not one person actually could help him. Occupy went to help him occupy his home. They tried to make phone calls.
Yeah.
But phone calls and occupying are only going to help if there is documentation and proof, undoubted proof that you have a reason to be in that home. He does. He has all the fraud in his documents, but nobody, CJ, had told him about notary complaints. Nobody had said anything to him about suspicious documents.
Right.
No, and
Right.
so even though, now I'm not saying they didn't say it to him, but
Right.
no one took the step to say, this is what you can do and here's a place to go. So
Yes.
we need to make sure everyone listening shares HOFJ.org.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what's going on out there, if they just go to that site, you have so many videos uploaded, every topic. Now, the other thing we find, as you know, is people don't like to learn on their own. They want somebody holding their hand while they're sitting watching these videos, explaining them to them.
Isn't that the truth?
Do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Do that. We can't hold their hands. So
I know.
we can hold hands while things like yesterday are happening. Ms. Rue did everything she could.
I know.
Megan has been there. We've had Suzanne O'Keefe, who fought for an elderly homeowner. They kept her in her home. The fact is that we're learning together, but unless we share the tools, not just the words, but the tools, we don't need to keep hearing, oh, I called this bank or I called that bank and I really got mad at them. Okay, great. But what tool did you use to get the success?
Exactly.
What tool can we share that these people can use? Because right now, yesterday afternoon, Matt and his family had to move out of it just doesn't sound so much. They had to move out of a motel.
Oh, my God.
We had to go searching for a home. We've got Ms. Rue sitting on the side of the street in front of her home with all her things in it, with all of her food in the fridge, with everything. And then you hear people, oh, well, they knew it was coming. You know what? No, she didn't. She had a stay of eviction. There should have been no eviction.
Exactly. Exactly. There's just so much heartlessness. I can hardly believe that anyone would say something like that. I mean, I believe a banker saying
It breaks
that.
my heart. And when you watch that video and you see Megan, Megan has she is a strong woman. She is a viable woman. Her and George are a force. And she was so teary-eyed. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, anyone in this nation who would even start to say that homeowners don't deserve to be in their home, oh, they haven't paid this. That woman's out $200,000. That
Exactly.
woman has put $200,000
Exactly.
into that home.
Exactly.
And fighting the fraud. Look at Karen Rosier. Look
I
at
know.
Pam Ragland.
I
U.S.
know.
Bank. Karen Rosier isn't even suing U.S. Bank.
I know.
Yet they're filing motions.
Well, and Renee, we talk about this all the time. Almost all of these people have been suckered in by being lied to by the servicers saying, oh, you have to be in default before we can consider a loan mod. Or they send in a payment and they don't take it. They just
Right.
flat
Well, and we
push
know all
them.
of that. So what we need to do, and this is Update Friday as well, we can see that there's actions going on.
Yeah.
Extrapolate the good things. Charlie Rice has got some great things he's blogging today. He blogs all the time. Charlie, you've got some great motion ideas. We've got to get them in motion.
Yeah.
Citizens Grand Jury, also a great idea. Larry doing it. We need to watch that, and that needs to be expanded. We need to check, CJ, as well, on the cases you sent to the AG's office.
I
we know they're
know.
listening to your show. We know they are.
And I have asked them. I've asked them, and I don't have any feedback.
So do you have an update on the 18 cases that you sent to the AG for recon trust fraud?
I've asked. I don't have any feedback. And it just pisses me off. So come on, guys.
Again,
hit the AG's
have to
office.
remember
What the
that
hell?
the government is not our friend in this right now.
Exactly.
There's very few that are actually attempting, like Warren.
Yeah.
Like, there's some AGs across the nation suing MERS, and also there are good people.
These
trying
are our
to do good
friends.
things.
Our friends are on the screen. Look at these are our friends. So connect with them. I've
Connect with the ones who
Yep.
you see doing good things. There
Yep.
are those out there that will say, well, regardless of whether you think they're doing good things, they're not your friend. Okay, well, they don't have to be my friend.
Exactly.
But they need to be doing the right things.
Exactly.
Whatever reason. So we've got the actions going on. We have people here in California coming together more and more, sharing. We've got our meetup on Monday. If anybody's in the Orange County area at Huntington Beach Pier, we're going to be down there having lunch, breaking bread together. We have another fighter who I'm in the process of making shirts. I set her up with a friend of mine locally. She is so mad. She called me this morning from Washington, and she said she is so mad that woman got evicted.
Yeah.
She woke up in the middle of the night, created graphics for a T-shirt,
Yeah.
and
Good.
has called me this morning to get 100 T-shirts made, to get to Occupy and to get to everybody, so that when they go to these homes to support these people, these shirts are on, this
Yeah.
color is bright, and
Yeah.
she is mad as heck. So that right there, one person, 100
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
This is a visual. This is happening.
Yes.
This is action.
Yes.
So if anybody knows somebody in Michigan, in Kalamazoo area, Karen Rosier has hooked up with Matt Murray now to try and help him. But of course, they're in the process of having to move, so it's hard to fight when you have ability to. They put us in a place where we feel defeated. Do not cower to defeatism. Do not cower to being defeated. You are not defeated. Karen Rosier had a poem that she has on a blog of hers that I put online today that was about not quitting, and I firmly believe that we have so many things that we could quit over.
Yes.
We can't quit. I am telling you, and all I'm hearing across this nation is we must be doing something right, because they're bringing out all the guns they have,
Yeah.
and they're doing everything they can, blatantly breaking the law, blatantly breaking court orders,
Yeah.
blatantly filing illegal things,
Right.
and still trying to steal homes, blatantly.
Exactly.
When it gets to this level,
Yeah.
that is telling us they are completely throwing noodles on the wall right now as fast as they can, because 1 out of every 100 or 200 are going to stick. You've got people like Lorraine Fowler's next door neighbor.
Yeah.
She's one of those noodles that are going to stick on the wall for the banksters.
That's right.
They're doing.
She's going to walk.
That's what they're doing. So
Yeah.
don't feel defeated when you hear someone didn't win, because you don't know what they did to lose.
Right.
We have a dismissal of a case that the judge, that mass action, that I think it was a mass joinder, I may be saying it wrong, but the judge dismissed it due to the fact that it wasn't filed properly, because they couldn't file it as a mass joiner. It wasn't dismissed because it wasn't a proper filing. It wasn't dismissed because the people didn't have a right to sue the banks for all their fraud and all their illegal activity. It was dismissed because it wasn't filed properly. So when you hear somebody didn't get what they wanted or something was dismissed, don't just read the tagline. Read the article. Because the article will open your eyes. That they tell you doesn't succeed gives you every answer to what will succeed.
Exactly.
So think in opposites. Oh, this doesn't work. We can't file that because this is not how it's done. This is. Well, they tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
And these judges, you can dismiss your case. You can not your case. Well, you can dismiss your case too. You can go into court. They file the night before what their action is going to be. If you don't feel that judge is going to be ruling in your favor based on his oath and his upholding his court to the law and to the truth, don't go into that courtroom. Don't let him proceed. Don't let it get filed. Start over. Because you know what? They have to be held to an obligation.
Yeah.
They tell you you're going to show up to court for a demurrer, but they already make their decision the night before or the 2 days before. So they've already made their decision, and they post them here in California. I don't know about other courts, but in California, Orange County, you can pull up the night before and see what the judge is going to rule. Well, why the hell would you walk into a courtroom
when you already know
the judge is going to rule against you, and no matter what you say, it's not going to matter? Stop.
Right.
Well, let them rule against you. Get somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, because if they're ruling against you, demurring, allowing the bank to demur, you know you haven't done something right in that case. Because there cannot be, we know none of this is legal. None of these guys own anything. They've lied in court. They've lied through their teeth.
Yeah.
I talked to a man who had hundreds of branches of mortgage lending throughout the United States the other day. He's a friend, a mutual acquaintance through a friend, a very good friend. He owns title company and mortgage company, and I was calling him on another personal matter. He and I got talking about title. And I was told a story about how in the 90s a phone call was made to say, hey, we can't keep these documents. We're paying $18,000 a month for storage. We just can't do it. We got to destroy it.
Right.
And that was before there was even electrical filing.
Right.
The government allowed them, gave them permission to destroy an $18,000 a month. That tells you how big that building had to be.
Yeah.
That is one heck of a lot of documents.
Well, you know, Renee, what's really interesting is right here in Santa Rosa, I'm in Sonoma County, and I've got quite a few clients, and one of them, now I'm thinking it's probably in 2008, they were actually managing the security, they were there to keep the doors open of a storage facility, loan document storage facility down in Petaluma. And I believe it was like, $18,000 a month. And
I asked him, I said, well, how can you just destroy documents?
Yeah.
They have to be kept for 7 years. They have to be, he goes, well, we couldn't afford to keep them.
And they probably destroyed them.
That doesn't matter. I don't care if you have to go bury them in a mountainside somewhere. You can't destroy documents. He goes, well, they gave us permission.
Right.
So,
see, and I'll bet that's what happened, because now, the building's empty. And that's amazing.
So no matter what, we have to remember, the documents now are there. If you've got a title company telling you they don't have your documents, go to Alta, ALTA. Go to ALTA.com. Go to their site. Send an email requesting your documents. They're there. They're stored. If the title company you started with doesn't have them, they're stored somewhere. I posted a site, FNF, First National Fidelity.
Right.
Pictures of their warehouses with boxes 40 feet up to the ceiling.
Right.
All over. They're there. They are storing them. They have to.
Right.
So we know the documents still exist from our time frame here we're speaking of, which is in the 2000s and forward.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow, as soon as electronic fraud got started, you and I know, even though they were supposed to keep the originals, that by law, you cannot produce a copy of anything without the wet signature to say this is the contract. Anybody out there that has somebody show them a contract that's a copy, nope, that's not my contract. That's not my signature. Because it isn't.
That's right. And
do not ever let anyone bully you to the point where you're saying, well, I think it could be my signature. No, it's not your signature. Your signature is a wet ink signature.
And I want to remind people what Pam said yesterday. She demanded to see the original documents, and you can ask to have them moved to a local branch near you. And so she went in with a handwriting expert. And
you never go alone.
Exactly.
You always take a professional with you. Don't ever walk into the den of thieves.
And take pictures of these documents. Take photos.
Always take photos.
Yep.
Lorraine had just an
That's
amazing
right.
experience, but she got no photos and no one could go with her.
I know. That's just outrageous.
No, it's beyond outrageous. You know, they show her documents that aren't even 11 by 14. They're
Right.
not even real.
Right, exactly. They make this crap up, and this is the point.
Yeah, so I don't want to take any more time today, but I wanted to make sure to tell everyone that anyone in Orange County that wants to meet up with us in Huntington Beach on Monday will be at the pier.
Perfect.
Find us because there'll be signs.
Okay.
We'll have signs all over, so meet up with us there.
What time?
Think about the people, when you see videos and you see people fighting to save their home, remember, just because someone is there supporting them doesn't mean they're actually getting all the support they need. They may not have the information that could save their home because
That's
someone
right.
may not have given it to them.
That's right.
Never feel that you are being repetitive, because repetitive is what saves homes.
Right, and I've got up on the screen one more time. Go to the website, hofj.org, go to foreclosure defense, and up to the very first page on foreclosure defense, there's 11 considerations. Spend the time to watch some of these videos. I put them together, oh golly, several months ago now. And we simply do not have time, unfortunately, to hold people's hands. This is the best I can offer right now. And at least...
and there are people out there who are...
That's
what
right.
I do is I tell everybody, I can network you.
Right.
I can send you to people in your area that I know.
That's right.
Anyone in this group has someone somewhere they can offer. I always say, you know what, I hear a lot of people, and this is one thing that really bothers me too. There's a lot of people out there who make a living helping people. There is nothing wrong with someone making money helping people. And so first of all, people, get your head out of that gear. Do not believe that somebody has to be broke, poor, and give away their time 100%. Because if you give away the house, you have no house.
Exactly.
You
However...
have to expect that no matter what, there's going to be people, you and I, there's a lot of us out there. We give hundreds of hours of our time. I will never dismiss someone who calls me and asks for at least an ear, a prayer. I do a lot of praying on the phone with people. We end calls a lot of times with prayer. Sometimes it's just that. But do not discount because somebody makes money that they shouldn't be called. For God's sakes, when somebody's an expert or someone has a business and they do this over and over and over and over, they know it like the back of their hand. These title experts know this stuff like the back of their hand. But make sure they really are an expert so that you can attach their findings to your affidavits, which is very important. These are not the affidavits that are filed on court pleading paper. These are separate, standalone affidavits of truth, as you know it, independent review as custodian of record. This is some things we've been talking about.
Right.
Everyone
right.
may need to do it differently as far because we all have different dates, times. But the premise of the whole thing is keep it simple, bullet point, and attach any affidavits from John O'Brien, any affidavits from anyone who's touched your files. This is an audit. You're doing an audit and attesting to the fact that this is your findings as custodian of record. Then you attach that into it's a standalone document that goes into court record. It's a standalone.
Right.
So it's seen. It is used. You can fight with that. I have been told that. Check and verify, folks. Always verify, because there could be some very minute difference in your case versus somebody else who's used something.
Right.
You may need to add a little more. But what we're doing is at least giving tools to do something.
Right.
Don't
Fight.
sit and do nothing. Unless wait. If they haven't moved on you and you're waiting, fine. But as soon as an NOD is out there, you get on that and you start fighting.
Right.
Because you have the tools and you have the people out there, and there's got to be a way for people to understand that there are people who are going to make money doing this, and there are people who are going to just continue to do it to help.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I think professional people who have a business have something worth the integrity and the respect, rather than, it makes me so mad when I see people attacking other people. Oh, they're a fraud. Out in the open on blogs or on oh, you're a fraud, or you work for the bank. Well, you know what? Take that privately. If you have a question of someone, take it privately. We don't need to be attacking each other openly. That's what people who work for the banks do to us. They send people out to attack us. So think twice when you're being attacked openly. Think twice when you're being hurt or harmed and you've done nothing and out of the blue something hits you in the head. Have enough respect for each other, folks, to send an email or to pick up the phone and make a phone call. But if you're going to think it, fine. But if you're going to put it out there and open on a blog, please be more courteous of each other, especially when you're calling into CJ's show. It would really be nice to know that we're all there supporting each other and learning. And CJ, if you have someone on the show that somebody maybe knows something about or is in question, I suggest they email you that rather than putting it out there as a generic.
And that's a good suggestion. And I set out the little the title for today's show is to please don't solicit on the comment section, because Homeless for Justice is nonprofit. I'm not getting paid by anybody that's watching to do anything, and if I was, then they would be, if you will, pre-screened. I have not pre-screened or know really anybody that's watching and what they're offering and doing. And here I've highlighted on my webpage, this is a warning, because in California, the laws are very strict that no one can make any money doing anything in foreclosure consultant directly with an individual without a foreclosure consultant license. And you're welcome to check that. I think I've got a link to that law that was passed in 2009. And the fact is, anyone that has a foreclosure consultant license to get paid still cannot get paid in advance for loan modification. So anybody charging anything to do a loan mod is illegal, and just don't do it. And that's just flat good advice throughout the entire nation, because so many times that people pay and don't get nothing, and they just get cheated.
Exactly. And we just all have to understand that we're here all fighting. We're all homeowners.
That's right.
We're all people fighting for our homes. This is not something we choose to do. Is this a field you would have chosen, CJ?
Yeah, sure.
Seriously, this is not.
Oh my goodness.
In the scheme of things, I don't know about the rest of you, but there's days I just sit and cry and wonder where life went. I've got my youngest son graduating college this year. These last 4 years have been almost a blur.
I know.
It's sickening to be someone who is out there, like the Matt Murrays, like the Ms. Ruth, who have no freaking reason to be taken out of their homes.
I know. It's a
no
theft.
Reason. And we have no reason to be fighting with each other. We can agree to disagree and move on.
Yeah.
Let's remember, we're brought together for one reason. Together to fight the banksters.
Absolutely.
Who is not with us is against us. We need to help each other. So I appreciate you, CJ, because you know, you and I have disagreed sometimes, but gee, Manisa, that's not going to stop me from, coming back and talking and trying to work things out. There is no relationship in this world that everybody can agree.
Yeah, that's right.
100% of the time.
That's right.
You have to be able to be respectful and agree to disagree without putting things out publicly, when we should at least look privately first. You don't even.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can find things out about people without even having to go to them, but you don't have to attack them when all they're trying to do is help people and give their story. People have a choice. We all have a choice. You have a choice. I have a choice. Do you want to save your home? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Want to help someone else save their home?
Absolutely.
Does that person who wants to save their home want to help?
Absolutely.
Or are they going to sit down and ask you to do it all for them for free? Nothing. For them to not. No. We need people to be proactive.
Absolutely.
We need them to get on your site, spend the time you spent, that other people have spent coming onto your show, recording these things.
Right.
All there. Right. If you, instead of watching some stupid movie for the fourth time on HBO, pull up live
There you go.
Show that matters to what you're doing.
Listen to Renee. She's got it right. And truly, I get questions. People want to ask me questions. I don't think they've even watched the video about like doing the QWR letter. And by the way, it is illegal to charge anybody to help them to do the qualified written request. I'm sorry. And see, this is part of the this is part of the blowback of good intentions. The legislature, I'm positive, is trying to help, tamp down the fraud as people got cheated the homeowners that were losing their homes. The trouble is now the homeowners can't get any help because they're required to be free.
Figured out there's too many people wanting to help, and hey,
oh my goodness,
those people who help can't make a living helping.
I know, and this is
we can take that home too.
I know the whole thing is just.
I appreciate you. This week has been a very emotional week all around for many people in the area.
Yeah.
We've had, we've had people that we don't even know about who don't even know about you, who have never logged on to any blog talk, who've never heard anything. I just really urge any of you who go on any blog, anywhere, any talk shows, anytime, mention the tools, mention where they can network, because it's all about networking the education. You don't have to network people to just listen to people talk.
Yeah.
Network them to tools. This show offers tools. This website you have, hofj.org, is a wealth of information.
Yeah.
People like Karen Rosier coming to this site, coming to this show, she is amazing. And guess what? She is learning. That rocket scientist
I know.
is learning your show. Why?
Yeah.
Because what you are teaching, what is on this show, is not teachable in any college.
Yeah.
No one can teach this anywhere because it's not on any curriculum. This is all new stuff.
Exactly.
It'll be on the curriculum 10 years from now, but we're creating the curriculum.
Right.
Thank you, CJ.
Thanks, Renee. Good to hear from you again. All right, guys, gotta go. Before we do, though, I want to let you know that I'm going to be involved in the Public Banking Institute. Maybe I said that already today. So that'll be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I will not be live streaming weekdays live on Monday, Tuesday, because I'm going to be at the Public Banking Institute. Sorry. And there will be webcasting. I'm going to take my live stream phone and try to live stream some of the interaction if it works out. I'm not real sure how it's going to be. They don't know either necessarily. It's going to be just we'll do whatever seems appropriate. At any case, won't be doing weekdays live Monday, Tuesday. I'll send out a little blurb reminding everybody that again on the email blast list. But I'll try to do Wednesday. I just don't know what Wednesday really looks like. But Thursday definitely, and then I'm hoping to pick up the pieces to bring us up to date on what's been happening for this week, the early part of next week, plus the common law grand jury, any other ideas that people have, any ideas and developments that come out of the Public Banking Institute. And I really am going to work hard to get a feedback from the Constitutional Sheriff's Convention, because this is super important. We need to know what these other people are doing so that we can piggyback on that and spread that news too. Not just stopping foreclosures, which I'm telling you, it just breaks my heart to hear these stories, because they are continuing to ramp up foreclosures. They're trying to steal as many homes as they can before. We can only hope that they're running afraid. I don't think so. Frankly, I think they are completely 100% arrogant, and we have the confidence to know that one of the things that goes around and comes around is when you're really, really proud and arrogant. You better watch out, because you're probably going to stumble and fall. And that's what we need to do. We need to put some stumbling blocks in front of these banksters and have them fall over. So we appreciate you watching today. Thanks for the update. Thanks, Renee, again. And let's bugger the bankers, the politicians, and the bureaucrats, and let's never give up, never give in. Thanks, guys.
They taught me to fight for my civil rights, but it's always the spent and the money's all spent. We're murdered from every direction. The workers get taxed while the wealthy relax.
With nary a moment's reflection. Where there's brass, there's muck, and they don't give an arse. There's a program against insurrection. And I say, bugger the bankers and politicians. Bugger the bureaucrats too. Bugger the buggers who make up the rules. And if you're one of them, bugger you. And if you're one of them, bugger you. Now all you good people with passion to vent, don't give up the struggle for justice. But I've done my time on the protesters' line, and these days I show my dissent.